Good evening. The opinions and statements voiced by our guests do not necessarily reflect the opinions of this network. Enjoy the shows.
You are listening to WBHM Digital Broadcasting, Birmingham, Alabama.
Headline edition, July 8, 1947. The Army Air Forces has announced that a flying disc has been found and is now in the possession of the Army. Army officers say the missile, found sometime last week, has been inspected at Roswell, New Mexico, and sent to Wright Field, Ohio, for further inspection.
Now, historic films made in the spring of 1948 and just released show Eniwetok preparing for heavily guarded and still largely secret tests of new atomic weapons. The test's purpose is to measure atomic effects on thousands of different materials, 30,000 tons of them, not, as at Bikini, to prove military effectiveness.
San Francisco police say that 9 persons have been arrested in a narcotics raid on the headquarters of the Grateful Dead, a widely popular singing group. 2 members of the group, Rod McKernan and Robert Weir, and their business manager, Danny Rifkin, have been booked on suspicion of possessing narcotics.
3, 2, 1, 0. All engine running. Liftoff. We have a liftoff. 32 minutes past the hour. Liftoff on Apollo 11. Tower cleared.
We got a roll program.
Neil Armstrong reporting the roll and pitch program, which puts Apollo 11 on a proper heading.
I'm going to step off the limb now. That's one small step for man, one giant leap for mankind.
Well, strange lights are causing a viral buzz on YouTube. Could we have caught extraterrestrial activity on a recent newscast? Brandon Arroyo investigates.
As the newscast ended, the controversy began back on September 26th. What is that light shining in the back of the dark night sky?
With coverage reaching all the way back to 1948, for over 70 years, Fate magazine has brought you reports of the strange and unknown, all of them true. Now, Fate Magazine Radio is carrying on that tradition of setting the standard in paranormal talk radio as we report and discuss some of the most mysterious and perplexing phenomena imaginable in this strange world of ours. Now, here is your host of Fate Magazine Radio, Kat Hobson.
Good evening. Welcome to Fate Mag Radio, the online voice of Fate Magazine. I am so glad that you are here tonight because, I am always interested in people's work, especially people who sit down and write really good books and who have had an interesting life in the background. So tonight's guest is all of the above. He's a company director, an author, and he's also a motivational speaker. His name is Artur Tadevosyan, and he is currently living in Johannesburg. He is from Soviet-era Armenia, and he and his family managed to get through the struggles and difficult times of the collapse of the communist system. So he's definitely a go-getter. He's definitely someone that definitely is tonight's new word. Sorry. He is someone who made sure that his family and himself were taken care of and that he was able to go into time doing that. He also has written 2 novels. The first one is Croton, which came to him through conscious channeling. So the second one came that way also, and we're going to talk about that. So if you're not in chat, please feel free to hop over there. We are going to be taking questions, but you'll just enjoy everything. Arthur, hello.
Hello.
Thank you so much for being here.
Oh, it's my pleasure.
You know, I do
And
know
thank you.
that you're on the other side of the globe. So
Yep.
thank you for staying up to do this.
It's a pleasure. It's only a pleasure. Thank you for having me.
It's my pleasure. Now, I do know that you're very well educated. You're a company director, and you graduated with your master's from an Armenian Polytechnic program. And
True.
you've owned your business for 25 years. So, but your life took an abrupt turn, didn't it?
Yes. Yes, it did.
Or did you leave because of the poverty caused by the collapse, or did you leave because your family was in potential danger, or did you just feel like you didn't want to be there anymore?
Yeah, it was basically economic collapse. For 2 years, we were living with no electricity. But last year, we didn't have even water. We used to melt snow in the winter just to have a drinking water. We was living in a block of flats on the 9th floor. 2 years with no electricity. My daughter just was born, and so it was basically hell we were going through. And one night, we almost died at night because chimney was blocked and we wake up. My wife wake me up. We find out we're basically in the smoke, couldn't breathe. So we opened the windows, and she basically saved our lives. And then that night she said, "Arthur, whatever you do, just get us out of this country." And this was the biggest motivation for us to just go anywhere, wherever it was, no matter where just to live, just like it was a matter of survival, basically.
My word. You know, that is something that you read about in someone else's work, or you hear about when you work with refugee programs, but you wound up in a place where you had absolutely no basic knowledge. You couldn't speak English. You couldn't. I mean, I know that my friends who come from Johannesburg are very strong English speakers, but
That's
is
true,
is that their national language?
No, my language is Armenian. I speak fluently Russian. But when we arrived to Johannesburg, we basically came with no English, and I learned to speak here. Although we study I study in university, but it's never enough to hold a conversation. So basically, yeah, we came with almost zero English, and it's interesting how we even end up here. I find out from a friend of mine that there is a company helping people to immigrate. So we went there. I said, "Where can you help us? Where can you send to us? Where assist us to immigrate?" They said 2 countries, Spain or South Africa. I said, "Which one is working?" She said, "Spain sometimes problems, but South Africa works 100%. I said, "Okay, that's where we're going. That's it." And this was no knowledge. We had no any knowledge what life looked like here. We opened we tried to find some information. Those days was no computers even there. So we find out they got the gold, they got diamond. They said, "So should be good." So we're going to South Africa, and we sold all our belongings, flat, car, and a month later we end up in a South African national airport, sitting and not knowing where to go. My elder daughter was 9 years old, and the other young one was 9 months old. Like my wife still was breastfeeding her. And we sat in the airport and we didn't know where to go. That's it. That's that's where our journey begins. It is. It is frightening when you look back, but we had, I don't know, some kind of a force always that is like pushing us. And then we flew through Moscow, and when we while we were staying for 1 week in Moscow, I said, Grace, my wife's name is Grace. I said, what are we doing? It was like rude awakening. Are we doing the right thing? And then, and that moment we were on the street, the doves flew over us, and they just basically, I don't know how to say, they put on my shoulder. And this was for me is a sign, like this in my culture is a good luck. And I said, definitely we're doing something right. And then that's how we end up here. It also interesting fact in South Africa at that time when we arrived, it was about only 200 Armenians was living in entire South Africa. And imagine what's a coincidence for us sitting and not knowing where to go. And suddenly we hear right next door behind us in the airport, somebody speaks Armenian. People we never met, we never knew. And then we approached them. Yeah, and they helped us and they direct us. And before the day was over, we had a place where to stay. And that's how our journey here starts.
You know, that sounds astounding, but it's not. It's just a wonderful thing to have happened. And I would have to say, I'm not a great believer in coincidence, personally. But it sounds like you were being very protected.
Yeah, but for that time, I wasn't awakened to these levels to understand. Like, to me, everything was like chance, coincidence. Now, when I'm looking back, yeah, the chances was basically zero, something like that to happen.
Well, definitely. I mean, that's just such a bizarre circumstance.
Yeah.
The very fact that you went, y'all chose there, and you didn't have a plan. Most people who have never been in those circumstances would have trouble comprehending that. But sometimes you just have to, I mean, you weren't in a position to take a lot of time to make a plan. Sometimes you just have to go on whatever kind of faith you want to call that. I mean, it's just the way it is. So,
yeah.
Has it been something that worked out well for you?
Well, yeah. Basically, the week later, I find employment. Not with my profession. I'm a computer engineer. I study design of semiconductor chips, memory chips we use in the computers. But I approached, they offered me a job in university, but they said we're not manufacturing semiconductor chips. The language is not enough. And I used to do wood carving at home. It was my hobby, and I find work in a furniture company.
Really?
And yeah, and that's another concept. It seems like a coincidence, but the way I find job is there was a Portuguese man, very spiritual man. He's the one who opened the door for me into another world, into another universe. He triggered it. It basically, what I understood, it was dormant in me, like this door was waiting to be wide open. And since he started talk to me about spirituality, it's like floodgates opened. I start to download a lot more than he could ever told me, and that's where I start to read in English. I never read a book in English, and the first book my daughter for my birthday gave me, it was about philosophy, the history of philosophy. And I was reading this book basically without even understanding, like only 50% of understanding what he's talking about. But I was so eager to understand, to learn. And then from there, I start to read non-stop reading and trying to find answer to my questions, which was rising one after another. I went through all the religions. By the way, I would like to say about Bible. Like in time when I was living in Armenia, you couldn't find Bible, and first of all, the second of all, you wasn't allowed even to read it. And first thing I did, I find Bible in a Russian language. I read it, and then lately, when I was more capable, I read it in English. And I couldn't find answers to my questions. And I find the Quran. I read the Quran. Also, not satisfied. I start to read Eastern philosophers, Western philosophers. Still couldn't find answer to all the questions that was bothering me about life, about existence, about purpose, about humanity, what we're doing, why we are here. Yeah. I rather give you a chance to ask me a question.
No, I mean, this is very important. This is setting up the fact that you were searching.
Yes.
And you were searching diligently, because none of those books are easy to get through. So
True.
You managed to, because you were seeking truth.
Yeah. And on that I find out, so the truth is basically in us. We come to this world with that truth in somewhere sleeping in our deep subconscious mind. All we just try to get into that knowledge. I don't know if it makes sense.
It does make sense. People spend their lives searching for that. Not everybody finds their answers. You were fortunate when you did find a path to get to them. In my opinion.
Problem with this, every answered question arises another two new ones. And like Socrates used to say, the more I know, I know nothing. So it's a many lifetime journey.
Well,
gathering knowledge.
I believe that we don't go through here once, and I do believe that the path you're supposed to be on opens up, as in finding someone right behind you who spoke Armenian, finding a position to be able to take care of you and your family, and basically a safe landing once you got to Johannesburg.
Yeah, it was.
So it was, I know that was probably as difficult and challenging to make that transition as you had been facing from other types of worries in Armenia. So, and yet you stuck it out and you did it. I think that's pretty awesome.
Make it through. Yeah, it's true. Yeah, it's amazing, I can say. That's how it's happened. But I always felt this like invisible force, like I could say, I don't know, you can say wings or whatever behind me, always guiding me, pushing me into the right direction, protecting me, because I came to completely unknown culture, language, religion, and came with an atheistic background, basically. The Christianity basically for us was like a fairy tale. They was always telling us there is no religion. You're not allowed to believe in anything. All you have to believe in the leader of Communist Party, supreme leader. So that's how I've been raised. And when I was a small boy, I used to wondering what my grandma was doing. She used to lock door in her bedroom and she used to lit up a candle and pray. And then when I was asking my mother, what is Granny doing? She was asking, no, don't ask. Don't go there. Just leave her alone. So to me, it was something not good.
Something taboo.
Yeah,
Well,
and then
I need
yeah.
to I need to interrupt you because we need to take a quick break.
Okay.
So we'll be right back, and I hope that y'all come back too. And don't forget to go and chat. We're going to be open for questions, so you're welcome to join us. We'll be right back.
Warning, the following message does not necessarily reflect the views of WBHM-DB or its hosts, guests, listeners, or of any functioning adult in general. In fact, Frank should probably seek professional help. Listener discretion is advised.
Hi there, Frank Lee here. I thought that I would spend a few moments telling you about the positivity from the network here. The overall message of para-unity and happiness, and how everyone here wants to get along with everyone out there, and how everything is just wonderful. Wait, Cat's not looking. Okay, I've got something to really tell you. Okay, so I'm going to tell you what's really going on. Honestly, all that being nice and positive crap was kind of hurting my soul, as dark as it is. So, what's really happening? Well, you see it all the time. Everybody and their brother out there has a paranormal team because they watched a couple of episodes of Ghost Hunters or some crap like that. So they go and they spend half their mortgage payment on tools and things that light up that they don't understand. And then the next logical step after buying matching black t-shirts and posing like 90s rappers for their Facebook page is to, of course, have their own podcast. Well, you know what? You're not going to find that crap here. What we have here at WBHM Digital Broadcasting is the best host, the best guest, bringing you real information. All of the hosts here on this network know their stuff. They are the people who have been out there doing the work, doing actual research. And no, by research I don't mean binge watching some kind of cheesy TV show on Netflix. I mean reading books. I mean out in the field doing the legwork. And who are they interviewing on their shows? They're bringing you the people they have learned from. They're bringing you the best in the field, covering all kinds of topics, from UFOs and aliens to Bigfoot to cryptozoology to ghosts to anything you can think of, a bit strange and unexplained. It is here, and you're going to get the best information here. So stay tuned to WBHM Digital Broadcasting. Don't go anywhere. Speaking of going somewhere, I've got to go before my mic gets cut. We'll see you there on WBHM-DB.
Welcome back to Fate Mag Radio, the online voice of Fate magazine. And in case you didn't know it, we're about to have a 75th anniversary. That's right. Publication since 1948. So, but there'll be some stuff going on with that. And if you are not subscribed to Fate, go ahead and hit fatemag.com and you will be able to learn all about the stuff. And you can actually subscribe online if you want to. Same great information, same great articles. But I just have to tell y'all that I am so pleased to be enjoying my guests tonight. We have been having a great conversation, and if you missed that, no worries. You can go back and pick us up on iHeart or iTunes, or we're on Alexa. We are everywhere you want to be. We are actually very big in India, thanks to Neil Javan, and I said that wrong, Geo Savan. And I just love hearing from listeners who are all over the place, so it makes it kind of fun. But my guest, Artur, is, you know what? I just lost that pronunciation, Arthur. Would you say it one more time for me?
Tadevosyan.
Tadevosyan, I am so sorry. I had it down
No,
pat
no.
and I took
Arthur
my
is good enough.
Thank you. And thank you for being a good sport too, because that was very nice of you.
It's a pleasure. It's a pleasure.
But we are just having a very interesting conversation about your relocation from Armenia to South Africa. And I would venture to say possibly the angels that you met along the way, or whatever term you want to apply to them, who helped you find work and found a place. Just I know it's a terrible, difficult story, but it's a beautiful story too.
Yeah.
And your time going into the studies in philosophy and religion, I'm surprised that you didn't pick up part of what you were looking for in the philosophical studies that you experienced. Did you actually? I know that you had spoken of different areas: Eastern philosophy, Western philosophy. Did you visit the Greek philosophy at all?
Great philosophy? Greek philosophy, oh yeah. Yeah, I started with the Plato, with Aristotle, with Thales from Miletus, and all Greeks, all great Greeks who wrote everything. I basically, I didn't know what I'm looking for, to be honest, but I knew I'm looking for something. And years later, I realized that I want to learn about life after death.
Mm-hmm.
And the closest I get to it was a Bartlett Dole, this Indian book which describes Book of Death, they call it. And then still no satisfaction. I read it, but I said, no, it must be something more to this. And then I fell in love with the Lao Tzu, with the Tao Te Ching, and some of them I just remember by heart. But still no answers. What happens to us once we cross over? And not only this near-death experiences, which everybody talking about, after that, I was curious. I wanted to see to understand what's happening, because it just cannot be like we almost reaching the gates to the heaven and then we coming back to our body. Okay, what happened to those who? Yeah, what happened to those who don't come back? And then I start to read people who had near-death experiences, and then I start to read about those who was going through the past life regression, and then slowly I start to get the information which I needed, but still wasn't enough. And then actually I wrote whatever I could get my hands onto. And then one day I understand that I cannot find book which will satisfy my curiosity. It's just, whatever I was buying and bringing and excitingly starting to read, I was stopped doing it. I just couldn't read. This is some, and that's where the writing come. That's where this book come. After that limbo I find myself in, and suddenly I just was in my lounge, and I felt this urge to grab a piece of paper and pencil and start to write. I never wrote anything in English before in my life.
Oh my goodness.
And then luckily it was a piece of paper on a coffee table and a pencil. I grab it, but I'm wearing glasses, but there was no glasses on coffee table. And I start to write, and I'm writing, and I'm thinking at the same time, am I going to be able to read what I'm writing? Because I was writing without glasses on, and then And I'm thinking, what the hell is happening now? It's just I'm going, writing, and I cannot spell English word to save my life until now. And that's why I was wondering if I will be able to read and what is it I'm writing. It wasn't even crossing my mind that I'm starting. It's the first chapter of my book. But basically, I wrote first chapter without having my glasses on, and only I was done with this powerful wave of, I don't know how to say, something took over me. And then when I went, brought my glasses and started to read and try to make sense what the hell I'm writing about. Mm-hmm. And then I said, yeah, this is interesting. And since that moment until now, I write every day. It's never stopped. It was a time when it stopped, and they called like writer's block, although I never considered myself a writer, but I experienced what is a writer's block. When
I
you
would
like
venture
everybody.
to say you're a writer.
Oh no, I never. It's because it's what I'm writing is not me. I mean, writer who doesn't know what's going to happen in the next chapter, it cannot be called writer. There's no structure to it. It's just the way somebody would read my book, same way I wrote the book.
Really?
Yeah, the characters, they were stepping into my life, putting me through whatever they went through, like I was becoming them. Even all the emotions they went through, even the way they speak. My speech was changing, my handwriting was changing with every new character. It's like you doesn't belong completely to yourself. That's what I call it semi-conscious writing, because I was conscious, I know what I was writing about. And especially I had a problem with the words, because many English words I never heard in my life. And they were very persistent with these words. They wanted me to use that word. And then when I was about halfway of the book, I asked my daughter, her name is Eva, I said, Eva, can you please help me to put this in proper English? Because nobody could read what I was writing, only me. So she said, Daddy, let me try to help you. And I start to read, and then she started to type into the proper English. And then every time we were coming to some word, and I was telling her, I said, that's how I hear the word. She used to say, Daddy, there is no word like this in English. I said, please check. It should be. And then she will go Google, and she will tell me, yes, there is a word, ancient word, nobody using that word anymore. And then eventually, every time she was saying, Daddy, now when we write it, she said, Daddy, if you say there is a word, I believe you, there is a word. So that's how I came with this book.
Well,
that's how it came to light.
It's interesting because you're actually writing about a man and his family and the things that were going on, and it's not something that really was that different up front from other people's lives, normal people's lives. So I just found that interesting, that this whole journey, it was kind of what had happened to you, right? Because you were writing from the perspective of someone who had gone through such a transition in his world that everything that was known was gone. And so now here's your character who is having all of the lost and alone and confused moments, and there you are with a guide basically to help you find your way through it. And
now, since you put into this perspectives, it makes me to think about it. I never saw under that angle. Yeah, possible.
Well, I like to read too. But it's really like this was a way to understand a bit more about what happened to you by sharing it, whoever was guiding you that way. But it also helps you understand you know, who this guide is. Was it freaky to you?
No, no. Everything was making sense. I was learning through my writings. Whatever questions I had in the next chapter, I was receiving answers. And I wanted to learn more. I wanted to get deeper. From chapter to chapter, they were taking me deeper into non-physical world, into the fourth dimension. And also interesting story. When I finished the first book, I finished like basically in 4 or 5 months. I was writing everywhere, at home, at work, in cafeteria. And when I finished with the book and I say, I'm done, thank you very much, I've done what you all asked me to do, I'm off the hook now. And I said to him, I've finished the book. And then 2 weeks later, I hear the voice again, and it's calling, it's keep writing. And I realized I'm writing second book. And second book was more difficult, came to me. This is where I experienced like it was a couple of 3-4 months. I couldn't write anything. You feel like a abandoned child. You know, like you losing your spirituality. And it's a terrible feeling. I'm sure many of the listeners went through this. It's like everybody forgot about you.
Well,
and then suddenly come back, and I start to write again, and I realized I wasn't ready to write to continue with the book, because I needed to download a bit more information, to learn more, to have more life experience, if I can put it this way. And then when they come back to me and they start to give me more information, then I understood why. It was like what my cup was empty. Like I said whatever there had to be said, and then they needed time to fill it up again. That's how I see it.
What did you think when you realized that this wasn't just you writing? What, I mean, because you are educated, you are a business owner, you have been, I mean, and here you are writing about the afterlife, and then, you know, the journey back, and all of this had to be so new to you, even after the research you had done.
Yeah.
Did it give you pause?
It's actually very rewarding. I can say this way. It's very strange. It's very unusual. My business suffered a lot during that time because my mind wasn't there. You're like getting detached from this reality. It's like you're taking drug portion. Something I never tried. I don't know, but I think that's what the people experiencing. You're getting completely detached from physical world, and you submerge yourself, or you've been forced to submerge yourself into the non-physical world, and suddenly you understand that non-physical world make more sense to you than this world. That's what's the most strangest feeling I ever. Until now, to me, the world out there makes more sense than the one here. I honestly believe I know more about fourth dimension, about esoteric or non-physical world than I know about this world. That was my biggest transformation. What happened, to this writing.
That's interesting. And the reason I say that is, well, A, because it is, but B, you know, when you describe that to the drug experience that people use with, you know, hallucinogenics or whatever to try to find their way into the area of reality that you were working in at that time. And I'm sure we both know a lot of people who have done that through what we do, because it seems people who are on that journey are willing to go through what I have heard is a horrible experience to be able to maybe gain some insight. And you were getting insight through your muse, your partner. And
Yeah.
but I've also heard that people who do that come back and they feel that they have this, they've been given the knowledge of some of the most mysterious secrets of our non-physical world as well as our physical world. And that has to be so trippy. Well, what a choice of words, but it fits. But I wasn't making light of that. But, there's so much out there that it's astounding what people come back from a short psychedelic experience having gained knowledge of, and what you were gaining knowledge of through
without using it.
Your guide. Do you ever wonder why me?
Not only me, my entire family. My wife always telling me, couldn't they find somebody who can actually write, who is literate? Why you? I said, Chris, I don't know. I never asked for this.
And I know that your beautiful bride is sitting in for this for this interview, so I heard her chuckle. But
yeah, she's next to me.
But you would just about have to, because for it to come as a surprise, you've been seeking information through normal channels, and then all of a sudden, here, write this down, boom, there you go.
Yeah, exactly like how that's how exactly it was how you described it. Boom, it was real boom, unexpected. From my wife told me, what, Arthur, just don't bother, just keep writing. Yeah, but imagine you're writing for yourself, just preparing me for the failure. Like nobody going to read your book. But while I was writing, I was so hurt. I know I'm writing something valuable. Like people need to know about life after what they call death. Because to me, there is no death. We cannot die by definition. Our consciousness is eternal. Yeah, body dies, but not our mind.
Right.
So, but my daughter took and she sent it to this book to Ozark Mountain Publishers, and then 2 weeks later they sent me contract, which was another shock for entire family.
Well, that's not a shock. It's a good book, and it was interesting because I've heard well, I'm going to save this. We have to take another short break, but we will be right back. Y'all come right back with us, and we'll get this question asked.
You're listening to WBHM Digital Broadcasting, the best in paranormal talk, only on Paranormal Experience Radio, broadcasting live out of Birmingham, Alabama.
Oh, come on. I'm Southern, but... nope. That'll do. Hello. I am Kat Hobson, host of Paranormal Experience here on WBHM Digital Broadcasting out of Birmingham, Alabama. I enjoy having guests from all areas of the paranormal, from ghosts to ufology to cryptids and beyond. You'll find some of the best researchers in their fields bringing you some great information. Join me on Wednesday nights from 8 to 10 p. Eastern here on WBHM Digital Broadcasting.
Since 1948, Fate magazine has brought you reports of the strange and unknown, all of them true. Fate Radio is carrying on that tradition, bringing you the unusual, macabre, strange, and bizarre. Join host Kat Hobson Sunday nights from 8 to 10 p.m. Eastern on WBHM Digital Broadcasting.
You're listening to WBHM Digital Broadcasting, the best in paranormal talk, only on Paranormal Experienced Radio, broadcasting live out of Birmingham, Alabama.
Welcome back to Fate Mag Radio. This is Kat Hobson. I'm your host for the evening, and my guest tonight is Artur Tadevosyan. Close? Was that better?
100%.
Good. Well, before we went to break, I had a question, and I just, different times in different authors' perspectives, and even by authors such as you who have been given the information through channel, the people who are the people overseeing all of this situation that we call life have different names. We've had the Watchers and other carnations, and yours are the Planners. So
Yep.
Is everything that happens to us here, because in your second book things go a little funky, but the Planners are still there. So is everything plotted out the way it's supposed to go? I always say, and we laughed about this earlier, that there are no happenstances. There are no coincidences.
Yeah.
And this would lead one to believe that that might be so. What do you think?
From what I understood from the information I was gathering from the other side, basically our current life is predestined in a broad strokes. But the minor touches leaves to us. So you got like a book of life, you can say, or life tree, like was in a book. Certain events in your life have to happen. Certain experiences you have to go through. Because this is we're taking this for our life lessons. We need to learn some lessons when we come here. To me, this world, this earth, the planet, I call it school. It's like one day of schooling. Our parents, they're bringing us to the school in the morning. When day is over, they're going to take us back. This is our God, spirit guides, guardian angels, or whatever you want to call them. But the planets are much higher vibrational beings. They are planning our life. In a sense, who we should meet, what should happen to us, like major move, the people we're going to meet who going to change our path of our lives. So this is in a planet's hands, but still they're very involved in our life because it also depends on our decisions what we make in our life. So basically they presenting us with the choices, and depend what choice we make in our life. That's what determines our future. But we still limited in to what we can do and we cannot do. This is imprinted in our DNA. Like things which other people can do, you will never do in your life because you've been there, you've done it in past lives, you over it. Old souls here are to have emotional lessons, while young souls here for physical lessons. Let me stop here because I can talk about this for hours.
No, please. I mean, this is interesting to me. Pay no attention to the woman beside you. She's heard it all. But seriously, I find this fascinating because you were handed this information, which to me is such a gift. And B, you didn't run from it.
No.
You did not run. A lot of people would be driven mad by such as this. And you recognized it and went with it. I think that's pretty brave and very cool.
Yeah. But also another thing I realized, like, although we think like we're learning something, but basically, like I said previously, we're remembering many things I start to remember. Some stuff which happened, that happened in my past lives. I've seen two of my deaths, how I died. I experienced it entirely, and that it wasn't scary at all. It's basically, I realized our exit from this reality is quite pleasant. Although we're all afraid of dying, but the process of exiting your physical body, it's the most pleasant thing humans can ever experience. No fear. It's just a pleasure, absolute freedom. Especially those who've been many years, like a couple, even months in a bed, and they had this physical pain or disabilities. All of a sudden, you feel absolutely free. It's amazing feeling.
I just can't even imagine. I hope to.
No, that's how it is. It's absolutely, even when we look somebody we think is having horrifying death, or going through the terrible experience. Imagine a person who falling down from the 12th or 9th floor building and crashing down the pavement. We think, oh, what a horrible death. It's not. The soul leaves body before impact.
Yes.
Before. Soul doesn't want, does not desire to experience what we think is body experiencing, basically. It's not. So my message to humanity, don't be afraid of death. It's exit. It's just, we're going back home. Nobody going to stay here. We're all predestined to live this reality. It's just one day of schooling. That's it.
Yes. You know, I was, and you don't know this, but my mother passed in March of this year.
I'm sorry.
And I was with her. I was in the house when my dad passed away, but I wasn't sitting with him as he took his last breath. I was with her. And it was very obvious and very interesting, because one minute she was there, one minute she wasn't. It wasn't even a minute. And I didn't realize that she had been, still here, because I kept, tapping her collarbone and saying, breathe, right? And because I thought that's what I was supposed to do. I'd never been in that situation. And so when I finally realized what was going on, and I said, you do you. This is you. And that was it. But she had been, because she felt like I needed her to stay, she was unduly still here. Not necessarily suffering, but unduly still here. And it was such a personal thing that I'm really surprised I'm talking about it. But it was because I believe that we move on to the next chapter. And based on your faith, that can have different connotations. But I didn't feel that it was horrible. I didn't feel that she was, when it was over, it was over. And she was where her next stop was. But I can see where some people would be carrying a fear if they didn't have comfort and knowledge in their beliefs. Then it could be a terrible thing. But have you I know that you have daughters. And what was their... We only have 5 minutes before the break, so we can answer this after the break. But I was curious as to their reaction when they saw what you had written, because I think that would be almost concerning if you were my parent and you were writing about your afterlife from firsthand experience, and it kind of gives you something to ponder, right?
Yeah. The young one, which was helping me with the writing, it wasn't easy for her because she was too young to be exposed to this type of knowledge. The older one, she grabbed it immediately, and at the moment now she's helping other people. She's deep into spirituality. Somehow she get also exposed to this knowledge. She's downloading her own information, and we're sharing. The young one at the moment also it become very spiritual, but from the beginning it was a little bit difficult for her and scary. Yeah, scary. I realized that the youngsters or in that age people, they don't want to think even about it. Who wants to talk and listen about death? Life just begins for them. It's in our age where we start to question everything.
That's true. But we also seek and we find answers.
Yeah.
So that helps alleviate some of that fear. Of course, has them put right in front of them. That's pretty cool. I thought it was pretty cool for you. And I thought that you shared it very eloquently. Somebody shared it very eloquently.
Yeah.
Phrase it that way.
I've been compelled to do it, basically.
Yeah. Well, I'm very happy that you were able to get out and get there and have these experiences start to happen, because it seems that with everything that you were doing in Armenia to try just to survive with the way that your world was transitioning at that time, it just seems that you would never have been still long enough to get that information.
Yes. Absolutely true.
You had to be, you were worried about your next meal. You were worried about, freezing. You were worried about safety. And I think maybe just that one more thing, your mind would not have been open to that. So out of the greatest diversity comes some of the best blessings.
Absolutely true.
Still seems odd sometimes, though, don't? I mean, you're the one who had to live through that experience. I would think that would seem odd. But that being said, I'm going to go ahead and take us into our news break. And because I have more questions and things that I want to discuss with you. And we will be back. For everyone listening, we will be back here in just a bit. And always, when it comes to our news, we're supposed to do it. And we have a question coming in chat that we will begin the second hour with. And I think that y'all will all enjoy this. If you missed the first hour, like I said, just hit our archives. They'll be up on iHeart, iTunes, Spotify, everything that you get your streaming through. But we're only live here. So we'll see you on the flip side. Let's find something good in this mess.
PR News, I'm Janine Herbst. The United Nations chief says he's appalled at the reported attack on a school in Ukraine's Luhansk province, where many people were apparently seeking shelter from ongoing fighting. Dozens are reported dead, but officials say some 30 people got out. A UN spokesman says Secretary General Antonio Guterres is reiterating that civilians and civilian infrastructure must be spared under international law. Meanwhile, the Ukrainian capital is on high alert ahead of tomorrow's Victory Day celebrations in Moscow. NPR's Jason Beaubien reports from Kyiv there is concern that Russia could step up attacks to coincide with its annual military parade.
At a gas station west of Kyiv, waiting in a long line to buy fuel, 58-year-old Gashuska Tatiana says the capital has been relatively safe lately, but she adds that people are nervous that the Russians may start launching new rounds of airstrikes ahead of Victory Day celebrations in Moscow. Yes, we are worried, she says. We just hope that the Russians still have some common sense left. Curfews remain in effect nationwide, but some areas closer to the front lines in the east have gone into total lockdowns until Tuesday, with only emergency personnel allowed out on the streets. Jason Beaubien, NPR News, Kyiv.
First Lady Jill Biden made an unannounced visit to Ukraine, crossing the border from Slovakia today to meet with Ukraine's First Lady. NPR's Scott Detrow is traveling with Biden.
Biden toured a border crossing and then her motorcade drove into Ukraine. At a school in Uzhhorod, Ukraine's First Lady, Elena Zelenska, emerged from an SUV guarded by a Ukrainian soldier. Biden gave Zelenska flowers and they hugged. Zelenska has been in hiding since the war began. This was her first appearance in public. Scott Detrow, NPR News, Uzhhorod, Ukraine.
Mexico's president is wrapping up his most extensive foreign visit, criticizing the U.S. for not making good on pledges for aid to Central America. As NPR's Carrie Kahn reports from Havana, Mexico's leader also took aim at the U.S. for its confrontational relationship with much of Latin America.
Criticizing the U.S. and Cuba is always well received, and Mexican President Andrés Manuel López Obrador took advantage of his one-day visit to the island to push for less confrontation and more conversation.
Nuestra propuesta puede parecer utópica y hasta ingenua.
Our proposal could be seen as utopian, even naive, said López Obrador after receiving Cuba's highest national award. Instead of closing one off, we should be open to dialogue, he added. López Obrador criticized the decades-long U.S. embargo of Cuba and has urged the U.S. to invite all countries to the upcoming Summit of the Americas next month in Los Angeles, including Cuba, Nicaragua, and Venezuela. Carrie Kahn, NPR News, Havana.
This is NPR. In Egypt, ISIS today claimed responsibility for a deadly attack yesterday that killed an officer and 10 soldiers and wounded several others in Egypt's Sinai Peninsula. Officials say militants attacked troops at a checkpoint guarding a pumping facility and then fled. The military says the troops were pursuing the attackers in an isolated area of the northern Sinai Peninsula. It's one of the deadliest in recent years in the northern Sinai, where Egypt's security forces have been battling Islamist militants with links to ISIS. Dr. Strange has conjured himself into the year's biggest box office star. NPR's Bob Mondello has more.
Marvel casts a wide net, and with Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness, it hoped to re-attract audiences who'd been sitting at home during the pandemic.
You opened the doorway between universes, and we don't know who or what will walk through it.
Pretty much everybody, judging from the numbers. By the end of the weekend, Doctor Strange will have taken in more than $190 million in North America, more than twice what he did in his first movie, and another $265 million overseas, for a total of more than $450 million worldwide. That is easily the biggest opening weekend of 2022, and the second biggest, after his super buddy Spider-Man, of the pandemic. Bob Mondello, NPR News.
U.S. futures contracts are trading lower. Dow futures are down about 1%. NASDAQ futures and also S&P 500 futures, all three major indices, are trading down about 1% at last check. I'm Janine Herbst, NPR News.
If you ever wonder how the world's most successful leaders got to where they are, what struggles they faced, and what kept them going, there's a show for you. Each week on my new podcast, my guests reveal how to think more like a leader. Check out Wisdom from the Top from NPR and Luminary.
Welcome back to WBHM Digital Broadcasting out of Birmingham, Alabama. The time is 5 minutes after the hour. Welcome back for the second hour of Fate Mag Radio, the online voice of Fate magazine. I am Kat Hobson, your host, the voice of Fate, as it were. And I'm so glad that you are joining us. I'm serious. If you missed that first hour, you're going to have to go back and listen. It's really fantastic. So, and I had nothing to do with it. It is my fabulous guest, Artur Tadevosyan. And I am excited to tell y'all that we are getting all kinds of new things out through Fate. And if you are looking for an episode that you're missing from your collection, or if you are needing to start a collection, why not, right? We are going into our 75th year. And that's right, since 1947. So I think that you're going to find a lot of great articles. You can visit the site, fatemag.com, and just peruse it at will. There's all kinds of interesting things. Now, Artur is someone who did not expect to be an author, particularly in the manner of which it came about. He has written 2 books, and the first is Croton, Journey into the Afterlife, and the second is Croton 2, Journey Back to Earth. So he has survived a great deal and is thriving. So we're glad about that. We always like to celebrate our guests. So Artur, thank you so much for being here.
Thank you for having me, Kate.
Well, I'm very glad that you are, because your book gives rise to a lot of questions, and most of them are esoteric in nature, I think, but definitely self-contemplation. And we have a question in our chat room from my friend Mikey, who would like to know, is it possible for others to experience this, or do you feel that you were chosen for that?
Oh, that's not the easy question. I didn't ask for this, to be honest. And I don't see some privilege in this, because I didn't open myself up to this world. I get exposed to this world, which makes your staying on this planet is a bit difficult. Because when I went through the COVID and I was 7 days in ICU, I was happy to go. I was ready to go, and because I knew that it's journey back home, and then somehow I survived by some miracle, which we can take a lot later about it. But if you feel urge in you, like you want to learn, you want to know, or you want to understand, you want to get in connection with this world of spirits, you definitely can do it, because it's that hand is always hanging from the sky. If I can see it, like all we have to do just to reach and to grab it. But many people are afraid to do it. It scares them. My wife was scared when I was writing about life after death. So if you're ready to open up yourself to the universe, to this knowledge, then go for it. I love every moment of it.
It's really interesting, though, because so many people have chosen this as their field of study. I have, from various angles, and I've spoken with Dr. Raymond Moody, who coined the term near-death experience, and then brought his journey into the experimentation to document these experiences and stuff, all the way down to other people who have been able to channel and to develop their thought processes around this. And it's very interesting when you have the opportunity to speak with someone who actually experienced what they're describing in their work. And I know there's a vast interest in this, because your book is I know there's a Spanish edition. I saw another one somewhere else, but there is international interest in this topic, and the way you were chosen to share it is, I mean, it's fascinating, and I would probably have your wife's question too, though. Why? But we talked about that. You know, you've really done such a great job, and you don't run from it. You didn't run from it when it was tasked to you, and you don't run from it now.
Also, I would like to share this thing with you. Interesting thing happened when I finished writing book. The first book, about a year later, I haven't been back to Armenia about 20 years, and Grace, my wife, convinced me to go back. And I didn't want to go because I left my country with a heavy-hearted. And she eventually convinced me to go back just to visit for a week or two. And I went back to a completely different world. The country was transformed into something else I didn't expect. And I really fall in love again with my own country. And then what I was going to tell you about, we met our friends who've been in the same class with us in the school. They also get married. Me and my wife also have been in the same school, same class. And they met, we had time with them. And then we were leaving back to South Africa. This friend of mine, his name is David. He presented us with a gift. He gives two antique silver napkin holders. At that time, I didn't know even what is that. So he said, Arthur, I want to give this to you. Just remember us. Okay, I took a gift. We came back. And then while we was unpacking our suitcases, Grace called me from upstairs. Arthur, come upstairs quickly. I said, what happened? I ran up. She said, look. And she put in my hands these two napkin holders. I said, yeah, what's wrong with them? She said, look. And when I looked inside, it was two names. As you know, the characters, my main character's name was Henry and Rose. So in one napkin holder was written Henry, and then another one was written Rose. This shocked me to my core, and we look at each other, and first thing which came to my mind, we have to bury it. Until now, it's buried in our backyard. It's like was last evidence for them ever to be on this planet. And then from that moment, I knew the story I wrote, it's true story. This has really happened to them, and just wanted, through me, they used me to share with their life story, what happened to them once they cross over.
Wow.
Yeah, this was really well for us too.
I mean, I'm speechless, and that doesn't happen much. So that's just, how did you feel?
I had the goosebumps. It was engraved, and it was, and then later I called to my friend David. Said, David, how do you get how did you get these napkin holders? He said, it came to me from my grandfather. And then I asked him. He said he was in the World War II, so probably that's where it come from somewhere in Europe. And this way he's not alive, of course, anymore, and we couldn't trace it further. But I know one thing: whatever in the book is a true story. Mm-hmm. I have no doubts about it.
That just was a shock to me too, when
you revealed
that. But I don't understand sometimes when people have the experiences such as you have. How long did you work on this? How long did it take for the information to come through and to get published, and for this to become a reality that you were able to share?
That's when I start to download all this information. First thing I was wanted to climb highest tower to scream to the world, "I know the truth." That's what happened to us. You want to share with everyone, and then I realized people don't really want to know about it. And it was and that euphoria, whatever you call this feeling of being high, almost like a high, when you want to share with everybody, into you, the people looking at you like strangely, are you normal? Or they don't want to hear about it. And then I realized that it's not something you have to go around to talk everybody about. You just wait. Whoever needs to know about it will come to you. And since I start to write book at least once a week, I'm having similar type of conversation with the people who lost someone, who want to know about what happened to them. And lately, whoever approaches me with such question, the spirit of that person who they lost is managing through me to give them information about their being there, how they feel, and how happy they are there. They're trying to comfort the person who think they lost forever their loved ones. So I'm going through also I'm very interesting stage of my life where I'm becoming like a medium, but not like there is a computer, not in that level, but somehow they manage to get through me to their relatives. From the beginning, when it happened, when first I realized what's happening, it was scary. It's like you feel like some other entity crawling under your skin, like you like taking over your body, and then you become that person, and you want to hug the person who approaches you and talking to you about their loved one, and this strange affection, love. And my wife time to time has to say, "Arthur, you have to be careful because it doesn't look right, when you go and hug people around." I said, "But it's not me. That I feel compelled to do that." So this is what I'm going through now. I don't know how further it will open up, but almost every weekend I'm having this type of experiences, and people come out of nowhere. Like today, I was sitting in a restaurant, and 3 Indian ladies who all of them lost their husbands. Somehow, I get caught in conversation with them, and then when they left the restaurant, they say, "Thank you, God sent you to us. Now we understand what's happening." So this is what I'm going through at the moment.
This is interesting because I would not have thought. Well, of course it's happening because people recognize that, but I would not have expected it to be such where people were so. You probably don't consider them intrusive, right? Because they're sharing, they're wanting to know. But
yeah.
I would have great difficulty in approaching someone in a public venue like that. But I guess people feel that they know you so well and they know this history, and they just want to share their side.
Yeah.
Or to get guidance.
I'm also very discreet. I would have never thought in my life I could stand up and walk across the room to the table and deliver the message. But I learned to do it because if I don't do it, it's like I get choked. It's like some big lump in my throat choking me. Unless I walk to the person and deliver the message, I will not go back to my normal. I learned that already for this many years through going through this.
Okay, I misunderstood.
No, the spirits,
the spirit is what is pushing you.
Who wants to deliver a message? Yeah, they was like pushing me to do it. They like see me as a channel, that only opportunity to deliver a message, and I have to do it.
Yes.
I cannot say no. And once I deliver a message, this feeling of relief and the reward, because the people they're receiving message from their loved ones, and they so many times they were coming back to me and saying, "Thank you for what you said. Now we're in peace. Now we actually we stop the suffering. How can I say that? Because many friends who approaches me who lost their loved ones, they can't live with the grief. It's hard, especially through this COVID we had many people who crossed over there, and somehow they're finding their way to me, or my daughter's bringing them, hoping that I can help. But it's like I'm helping.
You can, as a rule, right?
Yes, and when you explain how basically things work, and it immediately makes sense, because I believe we all have this knowledge in us. All I need just to awaken it, just to bring it to reality, to give you, to open the door to that world. So that's what I do at the moment. Somehow, I don't know how.
That is very compassionate, even though you are compelled, but still it's compassionate. We have to take a break. I hate breaking for these things when we're having such a great... But we will be right back. Y'all come back too.
You are listening to WBHM Digital Broadcasting, Birmingham, Alabama.
Paratalk Radio is your one-stop for all things paranormal, the unknown, and the supernatural. Join us every Monday night at 8 p.m. Eastern, 7 p.m. Central for discussions and guests on topics such as ghosts, hauntings, Bigfoot, UFOs, and more. This broadcast is rated M for mature and intended for listeners over 16 on paratalkradio.com.
Oh, come on. I'm Southern, but... nope. That'll do. Hello. I am Kat Hobson, host of Paranormal Experience here on WBHM Digital Broadcasting out of Birmingham, Alabama. I enjoy having guests from all areas of the paranormal, from ghosts to ufology to cryptids and beyond. You'll find some of the best researchers in their fields bringing you some great information. Join me on Wednesday nights from 8 to 10 p. Eastern here on WBHM Digital Broadcasting.
Since 1948, Fate magazine has brought you reports of the strange and unknown, all of them true. Fate Radio is carrying on that tradition, bringing you the unusual, macabre, strange, and bizarre. Join host Kat Hobson Sunday nights from 8 to 10 p.m. Eastern on WBHM Digital Broadcasting.
Thank you for listening to WBHM Digital Broadcasting out of Birmingham, Alabama.
Since 1948, Fate magazine has brought you reports of the strange and unknown, all of them true. Fate Radio is carrying on that tradition, bringing you the unusual, macabre, strange, and bizarre. Join host Kat Hobson Sunday nights from 8 to 10 p.m. Eastern on WBHM Digital Broadcasting.
The time is 23 minutes after the hour. Welcome back to Fate Mag Radio, the online voice of Fate Magazine, and thank you so much for being here. This has been one of my just most interesting conversations, and I just have to tell you that Artur Tadevosyan, Arthur, I've done that differently every time, and I do apologize. Oh, yay! Who is a company director, and he's owned his business for 25 years, managing and training people. he has relocated with his family to South Africa from Soviet Union era Armenia, and he has written these astounding books, and they came about because through the course of his experiences he was actually learning or being guided, and the books came out that way. So I am so glad that A, you're happy in Johannesburg, and B, that you were able to open up to your spirit side and accept the knowledge that came in these books. And the books, by the way, are Croton, Journey into the Afterlife, and Croton, Journey Back to Earth. And they're good. You need to get them. So I appreciate very much you taking the time to be here and do all of this. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for the opportunity.
Because I know that it's late.
Yeah, it's 3:30 in the morning.
Oh, goodness.
But we up and running. Okay, we're not sleepy.
You know, next time we talk, if there's a next time, we will pre-record so that you can go to bed at a good time.
No, you don't have to. I'm absolutely happy to do this.
Well, thank you. I'm happy that you did, because I have enjoyed our conversation thus far, and I know that this final half hour is going to just continue to be fantastic. And to our people in chat and people listening who have not yet gotten in chat, this would be a good time to, because this is our final half hour, and this, if you have questions, this is the time to put them out there. And I don't mind a bit. That's what I'm here for. So, yeah, we have talked about how this was a compulsion and how now it's a compulsion when you see someone that you have a message for, that you are physically made to share that. How often does that happen to you?
Before it used to be like twice or once a year. Lately, it's happening almost every weekend. Really? And it's frequently, yes. Yeah, I had one yesterday experience and another one the day before yesterday. Like random people stepping into my life, and then the spirits who would like to deliver their message, they're using me to deliver basically comfort to their loved ones, to say like we're not dead, we're still around, we're quite aware of what's happening in your life, so don't write us off yet, we are around. And we know what you're going through.
Yes, I love the don't write us off yet.
Yeah,
that's pretty much it, right?
Yes. And what I understood is once our relatives are the crossing over, the only lifeline which left behind, it's a love. Love keeps them attached to us. Every time you remember about them, they know about it. They can hear our thoughts. When they say about dead people, good or nothing, speak. It's absolutely true. Just don't remember any bad experiences you had with them, or just go to the good ones. It delivers comfort to them. If you need to speak to them like they're next to you. It's very important. They want to be remembered.
Well, I have found that those memories are very healing and soothing when you allow them to flow. That's important.
Yeah, it's very important. They in our life. Although they got lots of things to do once they're up there into higher dimensional realities, but they still that the silver cord, or whatever you call this, the energy, the connection is always there. And they will be first one to greet us once we go back home. That's, I know, undoubtedly. Another thing, they don't perceive time same way we do here. What might be a year for us, it's like a week for them. So our return back home for them, it's basically goes so quickly. Although for us it could be years before we meet them. So don't grieve if you lost someone, your loved one. They're still in your life.
Well,
and
that is a good thing and a comforting thing.
They're very much into our life.
Sometimes you forget, right? And I'm able to communicate with people that want to communicate with me. And I found that with my dad, it was just kind of a, hey, how are you? And with my mom, it's been a bit slower. But I found that, as I'm sure you did through your experience with the talismans that came back with their names on them, right? That they find ways to reach out to let you know this is the real deal.
Can I tell you something I experienced with my father?
Yes.
He died basically on my hands. My hands was on him when he was leaving his physical body. And then he was in a hospital, and then he was in a coma for 3 or 4 days. I want to talk about this because some people might experience this. When body goes into the coma, soul leaves body, and it begins to travel. So what happens for that 3 days which was unconscious? I felt his presence here in South Africa, although he was in Moscow in a hospital. Strange things was happening in my house. My fridge motor burned, my pool motor fried, my TV stopped working, light was flickering, like funny things was happening. My brand new car bought GPS stopped working, and I knew always my father is around. Although his body was there, still alive, he was here. And then finally, when I again managed to get to him to hospital, and I spoke to my sister, she said exactly the same thing was happening in her house. Also, GPS was gone, fridge was burned, lights was burned. So what's happening? All the body's still alive, but soul gets eliminated, gets out of the body and having this opportunity to travel, to visit us. So I want to tell about this for people to be prepared. And another thing I want to tell, when you feel presence of your loved one who's passed away, then that means they are here, they are next to you. When your light flickers or you feel this perfume, or maybe you can hear some noises like somebody walking around your house, don't be afraid. It's them. They're just trying to validate their life, and they're still in your life. And sometimes when you're running out of breath thinking about them, that means they come too close to you. I always ask, please step a little bit back. You're choking me. My father used to do that. And then I saw him a couple of times in my dreams. I didn't recognize him from the beginning because he looked so young. I don't remember him to be in that age. He was in his 24, 25 years old. And then I realized it's him. And then when I tried to approach him, he was running away. He didn't let me to come too close to him. So all this, when you see in your dreams your loved ones who passed away, you must just know it's real. It's absolutely real. And all of us there in between our 25 and 30 years old, we all look young. So don't be surprised when your parents visit you and they look young. That's how they're old out there. Nobody wants to be old in heaven.
Well, I would prefer not to be old forever. So that's logical. And it's very funny. The images that I have of my parents include a great many of them when they were young. Because the one of my mom in college, or no, her high school senior portrait, I could not find on the day of her life celebration. And we just rolled with everything else that we had, and I found it. It was in my car, which was where I had put it. But I searched that car through and couldn't find it. And I thought, that's the oddest thing, because I would have thought that would be the one she would want. But there have been things happening of that nature here, so, and there's always somebody family related here in my house. It's interesting. Just not her yet, as far as dreams and such, but definitely here.
Some souls need time before they can come back to us and let us know about them. Because arrival by itself, it's like, imagine if you move to another country and you have to settle, you have to find your comfort. So it takes a little bit of time.
Yes.
That's why most of them, they cannot communicate immediately. Also, they cannot come back without help of guides. They have to be guided into the physical world. They are not able. It's like they're like newborn babies on the other side. Although your mind is same, everything, your memories are with you, but you still need to be guided into this reality, because there's a big energetic barrier between these two realities, and you cannot cross it because you want to do it.
That's interesting. I would think that you would have full access to the guide you do. You just have to learn how to traverse that.
Yeah, and this is what I find out through my writings in the book. And then they cannot stay long here. It's the guides are helping them, feeding them with the energy enough to sustain their existence here in the physical world, because this world is very dense energy, and up there they don't have this. Of course, they don't have a physical body. They are energy. They're mode of energy, high vibrational energy. Although they look same, but they don't have a physical body. They don't have a senses. All they are is emotions. You're made of emotions and memories. Right. You just pure energy, but you still look same. It was hard for me beginning to understand how it actually works, because being scientifically minded, I'm an engineer, and I wanted to understand, and slowly I was receiving answers. So when you arrive there for quite some time, you have all your senses, because you remember things. Your body still remember. You got kind of a muscle memory, so you got that type of memory there. And you can touch and you can feel. You're like in three-dimensional world. But with the time, longer we stay, we begin to forget things, like simple things like to drink coffee and to have a test the coffee. It's impossible. Becomes you begin to miss this world. I always say we addicted to this reality. Yes. Like I was speaking to ladies today at the evening. She said, I don't know what I'm doing here. If I go there, I'm not going back. I said, you're going to ask to come back. You will be craving to come back. Because only here we feel truly alive. Out there you have no challenges. You got nothing to fight for. Everything is perfect. And it become bored. You become bored, basically. We come here, we're hunting new excitements, new experiences. That's why we're here. We come to learn so we can progress into the next level of existence.
Well, do you feel that it continues on a repetitive journey until you do learn what you need to take from this?
Yeah, the way I see this is like basically it's structured like our schools. Imagine if this is a school and you got grade 1 to the grade 12. So entire humanity are in different level of its consciousness, different level of development. So we're going through this evolutionary process, evolution of consciousness. That's what's happening to us, and we're all on different level of that ladder of ascension. And once we reach grade 12, we stop our reincarnational cycle. We stop coming to this planet. Because this planet is third dimensional reality. Where we go when we die, we go to fourth dimensional reality. Once you're done with this school we call Earth, you move to fifth dimensional reality. This is reality of creators. I just let you into the secret. I just finished my third book. The publishers don't know about it. And this book took me to such a depth of universe which I couldn't even imagine that it exists. Us into the high dimensional reality, so is in the low dimensional realities.
Wow.
And yeah, that was, sometimes it was scary. When you go up on the ladder of ascension, it's absolutely beautiful. It's beyond imagination. The world of creators, the world of designers of physical realities. And then they took me down to the low vibrational realities of fourth dimension. It was scary. Wow. That's what we come to call hell.
That would be. I mean, it would be hell because it would be separation from what you knew you should be able to attain. I would think the awareness would be part of the experience.
Yeah. I always used to say that there is no hell. I was so certain. I always used to say that doors in the hell are closed from inside. All you need to do is just go and open and walk out of it. And then when they put me, when they got me into that world, I realized. Then they make me to see how people ending up there. So many people are there because souls are there because they think they belong to hell, because they cannot stop judging themselves. It's the worst thing we can do. Regrets. Somehow this idea was planted in our head, this idea of sin. There is no sin. There is no right and wrong from the perspectives of our guides or creator or God, whatever you call. We are here for experience. We're here to learn. If you don't fail, you're not going to learn. So it's normal part of being on this reality. But because we think we've done such horrible things that we do not deserve to be in heaven, and then where you end up eventually what you think you deserve to get. So it's very important for people to understand that hell is a creation of human mind. Anything we put into our minds collectively, we manifest it into reality, into non-physical reality.
Yes.
And there's big chance for many souls to end up there because they believe they belong there. Sorry.
I'm glad that you did.
So don't judge yourself. No regrets. Everything happens for a reason. The worst thing, and especially be grateful for most horrifying experiences you had in your life, because that's what makes you.
Well,
it's
I
important.
do believe everything happens for a reason, and we get through it because we have to take the lesson from it.
Yes.
Good,
and that's what we miss. That's what we miss most when we're out there. So-called heaven.
Yes.
We miss being alive. We miss having problems. Even pain you cannot experience there. Physical pain does not exist. You can experience emotional pain, but not physical.
Well, I'm banking on that to say that we blew by our break. I'm going to be putting it in. But if you'll bear with me, we'll go ahead and take it now, and we'll be right back for any questions that you might have for Arthur. So we'll see you on the flip side.
You are listening to WBHM Digital Broadcasting, the best in paranormal talk, only on Paranormal Experience Radio, broadcasting live out of Birmingham, Alabama.
Oh, come on. I'm Southern, but... nope. That'll do. Hello, I am Kat Hobson, host of Paranormal Experience here on WBHM Digital Broadcasting out of Birmingham, Alabama. I enjoy having guests from all areas of the paranormal, from ghosts to ufology to cryptids and beyond. You'll find some of the best researchers in their fields bringing you some great information. Join me on Wednesday nights from 8 to 10 p. Eastern here on WBHM Digital Broadcasting.
Since 1948, Fate magazine has brought you reports of the strange and unknown, all of them true. Fate Radio is carrying on that tradition, bringing you the unusual, macabre, strange, and bizarre. Join host Kat Hobson Sunday nights from 8 to 10 p.m. Eastern on WBHM Digital Broadcasting.
You're listening to WBHM Digital Broadcasting, the best in paranormal talk, only on Paranormal Experienced Radio, broadcasting live out of Birmingham, Alabama.
Welcome back for the final segment of Fate Mag Radio, the online voice of Fate magazine. I am so glad that you are here because this has been such a terrific show. I hope that you have enjoyed every minute of it as I have. And if you have any questions for Arthur, now is the time to do it because we are going to open the floor up for questions, but somebody's besides mine. I have had no trouble getting my questions asked and answered. But, I think that part of what drew me to your work is that I really didn't understand how the afterlife works. And to a degree, I have guidance now, but I'm still not 100% sure what's going to happen when I get there. But I do know that the fear is lessened. I mean, I'm not particularly afraid of death per se. I have come through an awful lot of stuff in my day, as you have, although none of mine has been to the level of what y'all have survived as a unit, or individually too, because that matters. But do you have no fear of death? Do you have any fear of what you may have to go through as you make your transition?
No, I have no fear of death at all. For a long time already. Anytime it comes, it's show up on my doorstep, I'm ready.
It's just interesting. People who have reached the spiritual levels that you have are really very interesting, because I didn't even ask how long you studied in the course of your search through philosophies and religion, although they did give
30
you
years
of humanity. But
Yeah.
Were you surprised when you first felt the conscious channeling? Not just something being downloaded to you for knowledge, but the actual books. Did that take you by surprise?
Yes.
We cover that very much.
Yeah, it was unexpected. And when I was writing, I thought it would be like a couple of pages, maybe dialogue kind between two characters. And I didn't see it because I didn't know what's going to happen. And the chapter, the new characters were stepping in and they're sharing their story. And I felt their presence in my life, that they was putting me through whatever they went through. Like it was 3 o'clock in the morning. I was in my kitchen crying my eyes out because I was experiencing what they experienced. And sometimes I could laugh out. My wife said, my husband going mad, crazy. How it's like it wasn't normal, but I was becoming them. So it's very little in that book of me. Yeah, it's almost nothing of me. Although they're using whatever I experienced, so it will be easier for them to convey the message. Because it's always for writer easier to lean on something you've been exposed to. In that manner, I felt manipulated by them. But 80% of nothing to do with me in that book.
I don't know how I would react to that. It would feel like an invasion.
I can tell you something very interesting which happened with the third book.
Please.
Out of blue, is Jesus Christ stepped in. It was such a powerful, strong energy. It's how I can explain it? Just tears start to flow out of my. I feel so much love. I never felt something like this. It was crazy experiences. It was bizarre. I felt his presence in my room. Even I'm talking now, I'm running out of breath. And I was asking, please stop a little bit back. I cannot handle so much energy. And you just want to fall on your knees and to cry like a baby. And he start to convey his story, which is quite a couple of chapters in my third book. To me, before he was just another awakened soul who came to the world to deliver a message, and then which been turned into the organized religion, which I wasn't completely agree with. But suddenly I saw him differently. I felt his magnitude. I felt his greatness. I felt his love. It was crazy. And I understood. Before, I couldn't believe I can say something like this, but he is a God. He is not a creator. He's not a designer of this reality, but he is a God. Eliminated to that level by the people who believe in him, who prays for him. And he's so attentive. Is not one prayer he misses. Imagine magnitude of that energy, of that soul, which able to hear and to react each and every prayer. It was crazy experience, and I had to write about him. That was very, very interesting.
That is beautiful.
And every time he was stepping in, and when I was writing about him, right in front of my desk, I would leather couch, and this leather couch was making noises like when somebody will sit on that couch, and then when I finished with the chapter, he would just lift himself up. The sound, because I'm manufacturing furniture, I'm so familiar with the sound. I felt his presence there. I understand it's not entirely of his energy, it's not his entirety of him, just tiny particle enough to feel you overwhelmed. It's just pure love.
I don't think that there's anything better that you could have come across. That. Thank you so much. You know, people forget sometimes that aside from being who he said he was, that he actually is a God. He is God, or a portion. There's so many ways to look at that. And I think that it's beautiful how you phrase that. Thank you. Now, would you like to tell people how they can reach out to you to maybe get an email to you? Or...
Right. Yeah, they can email me at. I've got a Facebook page, which is named Croton as a book, or Artur Tadevosyan, or through the Facebook, also Artur Tadevosyan. Writer, which hashtag writer. My daughter doing all that, so I'm not so good with this. But yeah, basically you can reach me through there, and I'll gladly will answer any questions if any I will be raising after this show. With pleasure.
Well, I know that so many people appreciate that, because I know I have more questions, and some of them are probably going to take a while to format to get what I want to know across. I have that happen sometimes. I'm pondering. Pondering is all right. But appreciative of you, of your time, of your being willing to stay up and get through this. I know that it's so late or so early, depending on your... And I appreciate you being willing to do that.
No, it's a pleasure. Thank you very much. Thank you for the opportunity. Well, thank you, because I truly believe this is my purpose to be on this planet there now, just to deliver this message. The more exposure I can get, I can only be grateful. Thank you very much, Kate. Thank you for...
Well, I've got to tell you that I think that's true, that you are here in this particular time with this message. Not by accident.
No. We're going through very difficult times collectively as humanity. We're going through this drastic change. And I don't know what the future holds for us, but everything is changing.
Yes.
So fast, so quick. Every day we're waking up in the new world, but we don't know what to expect.
Well, you don't.
I can see far future, but I cannot see what's going to happen immediately, like in next month.
Well, I think that coming together collectively can do a lot of healing and provide a lot of guidance for people that might not be even aware that there's a need for it. So always do that. And, the way I always close my show is by just saying, it is tough out there. And if you don't like what you're seeing around you, then change it. We have great power to do that.
Yes.
And whether by eye contact, a smile, just being willing to reach out. Hugs are the best.
Love hugging people.
Me too.
Exchange of
I'm
energy.
a hugger. It makes a difference. It makes such a difference. It's a direct connection, and it's, it's not scary. So people don't
not at all.
Don't question it as a rule.
Not at all. We've been deprived for 2 years to doing that. Finally,
yes. Back. And I miss that physical contact when I see somebody I care about or someone that I know is hurting. That's what I'm created for. I'm a hugger. But people just need to remember, just be the change that you want to see, and even if you only touch one or two people, that's one or two people that are going to touch others.
That's true. Absolutely true.
I'm glad that you are huggers too. That being said, it is time to go. I'm so glad that y'all listened tonight and got to experience Arthur's interview and his experiences and his writing. And I think that you'll enjoy next week too, when we're going to have my friend John join me. And he is just way too fun. Y'all have heard him before, you'll hear him again. We'll see you on the other time, on the Be That Change. That's what we are all here for. Take care, and